Dr. Diego Ford. Dr. Diego will talk about semiotics of change, emotional framing in environmental narratives. Dr. Diego is a researcher for the National Library of Argentina, a professor of linguistics, social semiotics, multimodality, critical discourse analysis, and ecolinguistics for the University of Buenos Aires, Argentina, and University of La Serena, Chile. So he has been working across the world. His current work focuses on emotion and semiotics of music. Thank you, Dr. Diego, for joining us. Over to you now.
Allow me to, are you sharing my presentation?
Yes, we can see that now, Diego.
But I'm not controlling it. Are you? Oh, sorry. My bad. Thank you. Now, do you see my presentation correctly?
Yes, we can see that now.
Perfect. So, I will talk, as the kind introduction said, about emotional framing in animal rights and environmental narratives. This has been more or less the work I've been developed in the last 10 years. So why emotion? As Maya Angelou said once, people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people never forget what you make them feel. How do you make them feel, sorry. This is, as we can see, as we will see in the next few minutes, a very important issue in narratives and actually in environmental and animal rights narratives. My work, or the work I've been developed, is mostly theoretically framed in multimodality and social semiotics, the theory of Kress and Van Leeuwen as the main framework. But I also use, I have extended my views on multimodality, not just to image, but as we are going to see today, with emotional, facial expression of emotions, which come from cognitive psychology. And lately, I have added some of music theory and design, because as we aim to show today, meaning is everywhere and emotion is everywhere. So, multimodal stories. As human beings, we are constantly exposed to meaning everywhere. We go out in the streets, we can see advertisings, we see other people's faces, everything has some kind of meaning. And this is somehow related to the story we live by. The meanings we see are relevant to us because we have some narratives in mind, narratives with we have grown, narratives we face every day. And in most Western countries, but I believe this is a story that, or at least basic narrative that most of us share, not only in Western countries. This is more or less the, yes?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but your slides are not moving.
Sorry. You see now multimodal stories slide?
Yes, we can see.
Have changed now?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. So, as I was saying, this is more or less the story we can say we share all. Men over the top and everything comes below. Of course, this is a story that adjusts differently in different places, but more or less we can agree that we can find some common points in many countries. So from a storytelling perspective, the way to keep an audience attention is to continually increase attention in the story. We attend to this story because we intuitively understand that we too may have to face difficult tasks and we need to learn how to develop our own deep resolve. In the brain, maintaining attention produces signs of arousal. The heart and breathing speed up, stress hormones are released, and our focus is high. Once a story has sustained our attention long enough, we may begin to emotionally resonate with story's characters. Narratologists call this transportation, and your experience. You experience this when your palms sweat as James Bond trades blows with a villain or at top of a speeding train. More or less, this is why emotions are important in narratives, and that's why we buy the story, and the story becomes part of us. Quickly, what I usually examine is facial expression of emotion, body language, music, color and modulation, and typography. I usually go a little bit deeper with images, as the model of Christian Van Leeuwen poses another topics such as camera focus, angles, and this kind of things. I don't want to extend too much with this here, but today I'm going to focus mainly in facial expression of emotions in relation to the camera angles. Well, the important thing are positive emotions. Positive affect, according to numerous theorists, facilitates approach behavior. So in life, we feel more attracted to people with that manifests positive emotions. When we see someone angry or someone with a furious face, we tend to avoid him or avoid her. It's we are attracted more to smiles than to angry faces. This is used by advertisements and different narratives to show different kinds of stories. In neoclassical economics, we can find this or this kind of things, and people buying happiness. The car is at the center of the image and the whole family is smiling all around. This is US 50s advertising. It's a little old for today, but it manifests some of the categories we can see today. Slide changes in today's advertising, we can see actually focusing more on the product. In this case, even the human participant is looking at the product. The car is at the center of the image once again, and we cannot even see the face of the human, because I didn't say that, but facial expressions are important even when they are not present. In this case, they are not present, and this is because it's not important what this guy is feeling. The important thing here is the car. But when we are talking, for instance, about insurance, we have smiling people. They are happy, even when there's a terrible monster beside them. And not only happy, as we can see, some of these people are actually watching outside the image. They are asking us to involve. They are looking at us as spectators, and they are asking us to involve in the image and in which is happen, which is their happiness. Once again, we can see smiles. This is an old Argentine advertisement of Fernet Branca, also from the 50s or 60s, but we can see a woman smiling. Here, faces are not shown, but we can see in the Apple advertising that they are happy. I will quickly move to what I want. All right, we here have, again, happy faces. Now, not looking outside the image, but looking up, which in Western culture, it's always related to the future, the good desires. Everything that's up in the Western images is related to a better future, so to speak. But then neoclassical economics and what we can say today, capitalist discourse, is kindly moving towards environmental narratives. As we can see, even ants want to recycle Coke bottles. But what I wanted to present today is NGOs use something like an ethical framing. So they usually pose negative emotion framing. As we can see, this is perhaps the more positive way in which they can frame some things. Yes, animals made out of garbage, or an ocean full of trash. This is an example of how they frame nature and non-human animals in a negative way, trying to relate to human processes. So they are putting, in this case, the polar bears in a human situation, negative human situation, trying to relate people to that kind of situations. The same in this case, we are not that negative. The monkey is not living in the streets, but they are trying to bring us inside the narrative in one way or the other. This is again a narrative in which we cannot see faces, but we can see they are dragging us into some kind of negative story, and we can actually see faces. This kid is almost crying with her head down, looking at all the cows. This is from a boycott with a small b. It's NGO, an animal rights NGO in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Here we have another advertising from a boycott. This is from PETA. As we can see, in the case of PETA, they are relating to some kind of negative emotion with the skin Bugs Bunny. But in this case, boycott is trying to frame differently this figure. They had several campaigns in Buenos Aires, in the streets of Buenos Aires, where they are trying to relate the faces of animals with the word persona, people in Spanish. They're trying to put in the common sense of the people that animals are persons too. But surely, as we see often, this is the way in which most NGOs are framing animals and nature too, or a sad and a very scared animal. A few cases in which this is not the case, we can find it in this. which I just found this photo of three girls, but PETA has been made campaigns with men, famous men too. They all with the slogan, we'd rather go naked than wear fur. But in this case, we can see the smiles, and they are not wearing anything. Another case of happy images can be seen with these kind of images, where we can see happy animals not dying, but having fun and developing their own lives in the open. To close, a few words. Neoclassical economics and capitalistic discourse always portray happy humans in close shots and horizontal takes, which in Crescent-Ball-Lewin's theory means they are the images presented as real, as representing the truth. And these images present offer and demand acts. I mean, offer one, information is just offered and the participants are not looking outside the camera, and demand when they are looking and trying us into the camera, asking us to involve. But when when these participants are demanding something from us, they are acting like in a kind of seduction. This is positive emotions related to the product or their benefits, and negative emotions triggered by not having it. On the other hand, NGOs present almost no humans, also in close shots in horizontal takes, as in neoclassical economics discourse, offer and demand acts, but in this case, demand acts are related to judgment acts. They are not seducing us, but mostly asking to decide between what's wrong and what's right. This is negative emotions are related to doing what's wrong, and positive emotions triggered by doing what's the right thing to do. Finally, how to solve this dilemma? As Kerry Freeman poses, what NGOs tend to do is to, or what she thinks the NGOs must do, is to not move away from this ethical movement, but keep the connection with life, justice, freedom, and respect for nature and animals. But what I would like to add is that, as Riphah says, non-human animals and nature have their own story that haven't been told. What the rival states is that many animals have fight against the human oppression, but those stories have never been told. And that's it. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the organization for having me and for solving small problems I had before I started. Thank you.
No worries, Diego. Thank you very much for joining us for this wonderful talk. And there was a lot of things we probably can be inspired by. Thank you very much. Our next speaker for today's talk is Mr. Yasser Abbasbey. Mr. Yasser is an assistant professor in linguistics from the Government College Malaysia. He is also a PhD scholar at University of Management and Technology. His chief